Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles!
Shredder's Revenge.
Let's kick some shell!
What's up, Lightside? You up for a quick game or two of this? Got about an hour to kill. I'm not gonna play this all night, though. Just a warning.
Select your hero.
Alright.
Let's bust some crime.
What's up, girl? Come on up. Come on. Groupie. Yeah, go eat, okay? What you want to do? Come on up. Groupie. 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 Okay, do your own thing, girl. Nah. Good night.
You were no match for me.
Yeah, no problem. Hello, Abby. Sorry, I just saw that. Hello.
The world is mine.
Groupie, why aren't you coming up? What's wrong, girl? You okay? Come hang out with Daddy. Silly kitty.
I will show you how a true ninja fights. Heavily done.
Let's strike.
Yeah, Groupie's not wanting to, she's not wanting to sit on my lap right now. She's gonna miss out, because I'm not gonna be here more than another 90 minutes, so... I won't be back until lunchtime. Not gonna have any cuddles until I come back here again. Indecisive today.
You were no match for me.
Come on up, girl. You okay?
Hat trick. Hat trick.
You were no match for me. You were no match for me.
Teach you a lesson.
You were no match for me.
Yeah, Groupie's not wanting to claim my lap tonight for some reason. She's doing her own thing tonight. Yes. She just kind of sits by me. She doesn't always want to be on my lap. I think she wants to eat more, but she's very... She can be indecisive at times. A little stubborn. Plenty of food. I just fed all the cats a couple minutes ago.
You were no match for me.
Kitties are happy and Daddy's gaming. Life is good.
Batter up, Scuzz Bucket.
don't know if you guys know, my 18th anniversary of running this channel is coming up in about a month. And, I don't really know what the hell to do for it. I'll probably try to cop some of the ROMs for some of those games I started out with. Space is kind of limited right now, but I want to do something for it. My graphic artist is going to make me some art for it. Should be pretty cool. But they're busy fostering kittens right now, so I don't know if that'll be done in time. But yeah, 18th anniversary is in like a month and a week. Been doing this since 2005. Fresh out of high school. I don't want to overwork over it though, but do something for it. I might give some stuff away.
You were no match for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I started this channel pretty much right around the time I graduated high school. That's how long I've been at it. Might not make much money. I mean, shit, my paycheck from this month was like 60 bucks, but it's paid off in other ways. The people I've met, the discipline, you know, being in the credits of games and stuff and the review keys, it definitely does pay off. I feel bad that I have to ask for help all the time, but I really make like peanuts running this channel. But it has given me a lot of other good things in my life that aren't financial, so I'm thankful for it.
You were no match for me.
And I don't really pour myself out and do all the clickbait stuff that gets people to watch, so I mean, that's my fault that I don't want to stoop that low. But I have a lot of integrity. I always have running this, and I know people appreciate that. They watch a video from me, and I'm not going to waste your time or lie for clicks or do anything stupid. I think I'm very proud of that fact. And if it hurts me financially to not do like mind-numbing TikTok-style content, which is what's popular right now. There's plenty of places to go for that. You're not going to find it here. I'll just keep doing my own thing. It's working somewhat, at least. Ouch.
No one can stop me. I need focus.
If I put up more shorts of the cats, I'd probably get some more viewers. That's about as low as I'd stoop. I can't do more than that, but Some of those kitty videos got converted into shorts and they have a lot of views for some reason. I don't pretend to understand the algorithm. Like that Mega Man X dive video I have has like 2,000 views and I put literally no effort into it at all. And then like stuff that takes me dozens of hours to make. Algorithm doesn't care about that. They want what you put the least amount of effort into. Alright. So don't put any effort into anything. Cool. These are some pretty shitty, shitty floors we're getting here.
You were no match for me.
Batter up, Scuzz Bucket.
Yeah, I'll make a community post about it probably when I get home tonight. I do have a bunch of like humble keys and stuff that I don't want. I'll probably give them away and
You were no match for me.
probably just play some of the games I started with within reason, because I don't have access to a lot of that stuff anymore, and my hard drive's too reamed from how big these fucking games are getting now. This game's only 500 megs, which is greatly appreciated. The new Mortal Kombat's gonna be like 150 gigs for a fighting game, which is just insane, man. Like, do they even try anymore? Like, yeah, in terms of doing retro games, the computer is not the problem. It's I just don't have that much space right now. I might seriously consider doing a fundraiser for like more storage for this and the rig at home. It's kind of been the bottleneck lately. I have fast internet, so it's like it's not that bad, but it's getting harder and harder to be like a variety content creator because the games are just so damn big. It's like, yeah, I might want to play that, or they're gonna update that next month, but it's like 80 gigs, so gotta play musical chairs with game installations these days. Unless you just have terabytes and terabytes of space. I've only got like 2 terabytes in mine. It's starting to add up. I really appreciate what they did with Street Fighter 6. You don't have to install the single-player content. Just one of like the best things that game does. You know, if you just want to get into a playable competitive scenario, like just a playable state to like play at like an event or something, you can just download just the fighting game part. But if you want like the full thing, it's like quite a bit bigger. Yeah, it's like one of the only fighting games that does that. I'm sure the story mode of Mortal Kombat 1 is probably like a big chunk of that space, but you gotta download the whole big ass thing. Yeah, I stream and I upload in a pretty high quality. I do 1080p 60, like high bitrate, so like that Mega Man video was like 5 gigs. But yeah, I'm gonna consider doing a storage fundraiser. Just like, I don't know, I gotta look at the prices, give people like a baseline, because that's like the biggest bottleneck to doing stuff for the anniversary, I think. And I don't want to really overwork myself over it. I already do this like every day. I think 18 years of doing this is a pretty big milestone. I find this mode a little lacking. It's because it doesn't really have builds. I don't know, this isn't like my favorite beat 'em up that's come out at all. Not even close. This game is okay. This is like the main thing I hate about it is these fucking hyper armor bosses are garbage. Boss fights in this game suck balls. I'm not a fan of bosses that just stand there and tank everything. Should have some kind of hits done. How? How the hell do you make builds? The items suck. The items don't do anything. What builds? There are no builds. This is like the most bare bones roguelike mode to come out in a while. I think Dawn of the Monsters mode is way better than this. But Dawn of the Monsters doesn't have online, so... Oh, Streets 4, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, there's like no builds in this at all. It's pretty, it's pretty bare bones. Alright, well this is a wipe. This is a wipe. Might as well just rage quit at this point. No health, no lives. Oh, we could do another one after this. I got some more. Got about an hour of time. I gotta go home after that. Go home and take my crazy person meds and take my crazy person meds and work on some videos maybe if I feel like it. I might not. That's exactly what I hate about this game, is you can't do any damage to the bosses unless you taunt, spam supers. boss fights in this game are garbage. Still a fun game, though. Oh man, he did the heat end. GG's. We can go again if you want. We'll go again. I don't mind doing another one. Probably just like one more, though. Yeah, I'm just trying to level her up, so... Yeah. We'll go again. We'll go again. That was kind of an unwinnable state. Not many resources left. Yeah, we'll try again. No worries.
You were no match for me. One.
Grand slam.
One.
I don't know. Streets 4 survival mode has its pros and cons. It's a lot better in version 8, I would say, because just things scaled up too fast before the first version of it. Things scaled up too quickly, so it kind of just turned into like this spammy Muso game. It wasn't really a beat 'em up anymore. This game's got its faults. All the unfair attacks and hyper armor bosses that don't allow you to have fun. But I can say, even when you scale this up, it does still remain a beat 'em up. And that's like one of the biggest criticisms about Streets 4's roguelike mode. There were people getting up to like floor 100 and playing for like 5 hours straight, just doing the same move over and over, because you couldn't do anything else. All the like fundamentals and like core mechanics of the beat 'em up part of the game like stop working. They balance it out a lot more, so it's like a lot harder to get that far. I think it's better now than it was. But yeah, it got to that point, past like floor like 30 or 40, it just scaled up too quickly. And it kind of stopped being a beat 'em up.
You were no match.
You had to start playing it like a Muso game where you just had like unlimited bar. You just played like Dynasty Warriors with unlimited Muso. That's pretty much what the mode turned into. And a lot of the characters couldn't get that far just because top tier in the Streets 4 survival mode was pretty much any move that propelled you forward, that was invincible. It had like no hurt box. That was how you got far. And anybody who couldn't do that was straight up incapable of getting very far.
You were no match for me.
That's why Shiva could get to like floor 100. Like Axel could get pretty far as well. Streets 3 Skate. But then like the other characters couldn't even dream of getting that far. Because they don't have moves that meet the criteria. Being able to move forward and generate a lot of hitboxes and not have one yourselves. So you just keep doing that over and over and over. It was fun to a degree, but I felt like the mechanics of it, of the game, which are like really good, kind of stopped being a thing past a point. Yeah, when there's like 80 guys on the screen, and if one of them taps you on the shoulder, you're dead. You kind of can't really play it like a beat 'em up anymore. It's pretty much just a Muso game.
You were no match for me.
Yeah, Shiva could do Spirit Palm and Senretsuken over and over. and basically just remain invincible. Just straight up no hurt box. I gotta play that on these streams at some point. Maybe maybe tomorrow's stream. I'll be working over here tomorrow, so gotta figure out what the selection of games is gonna be. Lately it's been this and Mega Man. But Mega Man's kind of at the point where it won't be too interesting to watch. Because I've done like everything in the game that requires challenge. I mostly need to get the deep elements and finish the Bloody Palace.
You were no match for me.
But the Bloody Palace doesn't really flow that well. You gotta go through like 3 load screens per floor. So even on like a 90-minute kitty-sitting stream, which is generally how long these streams are, sometimes 2 hours, depending on when I start, probably only get through like a couple dozen floors. But yeah, I guess I should devote some time to doing that, because that's like all I have left to do for Mega Man X Dive Offline, is the Bloody Palace and all the deep elements.
You were no match.
So maybe I'll do like 30 minutes of that game a day, because it's pretty mind-numbing. But yeah, I'm so close to having 100% on that game. Might as well go all the way. Mega Man X Dive Offline. I've been playing a lot on these streams. The home streams, too.
Strike. You were no match for me.
Nah, it's not so much having the element procs in Streets 4's mode. That does help, yes, but there were certain characters that could get way farther than anyone else because the balance was kind of jacked. Because, you know, they balanced the game around the normal mode. They didn't balance it around survival. So certain characters could you get a build going and just like play for like a really long time. And then other characters, a lot harder. I think it was something that was planned at launch, so.
You were no match for me.
No, there's been a North American version of X-Dive for a while, but the offline one is basically because the parent version is shutting down. And what I find really shady is that the Nebula Joy guys are trying to persuade people that there's going to be more content, which is highly unlikely, because pretty much any time a service game shuts down
You were no match.
and the parent one shuts down, almost never is it where they'll make content specifically for a global version. There'd have to be like way more income than they're making. I don't think that game makes that much money. I know the gacha in that game is actually way better than a lot of other games, ironically. Better than the more popular ones for sure. It was like what, like a 6% rate on banners or something? But no way they're making enough money. Apparently the game like actually wasn't like declining at all. I'm not really sure why it's shutting down. Like licensing, or Capcom wasn't happy with how much it was making or something, but I know it wasn't doing bad. There are other gacha games out there that make less money than that game. And like are still going.
You
I'm gonna find it funny if they actually think that they can convince people that the game's not gonna die, because the global one is still up. Like, I don't know, man. I've played a lot of service games in my time. Over 20 years now. I can tell you, when the native version shuts down, it pretty much tells you the global one is not too far. Apparently the global one of X-Dive, the one that's not shut down, they just got like the last character that was added to the Taiwanese version, which is the parent version. So the one that got everything first, the first version, the ones that the developers are actually making the content for initially. Like, that's a bad sign, man. I would like stop playing that game at that point. I never really got too into the online one. I only played it for a couple hours. I sure as hell didn't spend a lot of money. And if I did, I'd be off that game in a heartbeat. It's happened countless times. They think that they can harvest more money out of the global people that play the game.
You were no match for me.
Come on.
Like, they brought back Critica a while back because they got bought by some crypto company. And those fuckers wiped the server again. And it cost like $50 to make another character slot.
Bow before me.
But then the Korean version shut down. Korean version shut down. I'm like, what the hell are you gonna do now? You're gonna have to make a new game at some point. How many times can you shut that game down? That game's been shut down like, what, like 4 times now? They didn't even add anything when they brought it back with all the crypto stuff. They just like wiped the game. They wiped the game again and added all this pay-to-earn garbage. Fucking ass wipes, man. And now the parent version shut down, so good luck with that. I made a post about that on the Steam forum. I'm like, yeah, don't... If you're stupid enough to play this game, stop playing it. And definitely don't spend any money, because the parent one shut down. There's nowhere to go from here but down. The game is definitely not doing the numbers to warrant them servicing that version with more content. Nowhere near. Pretty much the reaction when it came back was like, A, where are my characters? And B, why is there all this NFT stuff in the game? I don't know, the Critica developers are just tone deaf. Because the biggest problem with that game is that the engine was garbage. I played that game hardcore for a while. I was really enjoying it. I had a lot of fun with that game. The problem was the server, the engine was fucking terrible. You play like any of the actual challenging content in that game, and it ran at like 15 FPS on like the top of the line computer. They never bothered to update their engine. I'm like, yeah, that's why the game died. You can't have challenging content in the game and then have people with like $2,000 computers barely be able to run it without it dropping frames. It's not even an instance of people like not having the right kind of computer for the game. It's just the engine is just trash. The engine is not capable of doing the end game content without it dropping frames constantly. Unplayable. It's definitely not fun when you do your part of the relationship and the game devs don't. Like, hey, I got a good computer. I meet the recommended specs and the game still runs like trash. What gives, man? Well, beyond the limitations of what's acceptable. The game engine is just trash and can't, like, work properly.
Where my power.
Closers was like that, too. Closers would drop frames. Level wasn't as bad as Critica, but still, it's like, you know, play like way more intensive games than this just fine. No, they did provide controller support for Critica towards the end. The end of the first version, or the reboot version, they did add controller support. But it didn't matter because, like I said, the engine was never updated to, like, modern standards. And I think that game was on, like, Unreal Engine 3. And then the game got wiped for the NFT version. That company needs to make another game, seriously. I guess they're going to have to at this point. They're going to have to make like a Critica 2 or something else to make money, because the Critica cash cow has been milked to death. Cannot produce any more milk. Yeah, Closers has avoided all the publisher drama because they service it themselves, so it costs like no money. I think they got a lot of the people from En Masse. They're like working on the translations and stuff.
You were no match.
It's one of those service games that's not like mega popular. It's not like Genshin Impact popular, but they don't spend much on marketing. And they have whales that spend tons of money every update. Well, I guess they still turn a profit somehow. I don't think that game works on the Steam Deck, actually, because of the anti-cheat. If it did, I might consider playing that again. Closers also has a private server, though, so gotta judge if it's worth it to play on official or play on the private server, because those guys take donations, which is always grounds to be sued, of course. I don't know why the private servers do that. I get that it costs money, but it's just like the company's more likely to come after you, right? They're like a million. They're like a million. What's it called? Ragnarok Online private servers, and most of them didn't take donations. I think it's mostly because you could run a server for that game on your home computer. If you had a decent computer, you didn't need like an actual like professional server or something. Well, yeah, that's kind of what turned me off the private server for Closers, is that they're taking donations, which is like really easy grounds to get sued and shut down. Hey, good games, Lightside. We'll try that again next time. Thing about Closers is they actually did upgrade their engine, and Critica did not, which is why Closers is still alive and Critica is dead. Closers actually isn't that much younger than Critica 2, which is the funny thing. Critica was like 2012, and then Closers was like 2014, so they're like barely 2 years apart.
Welcome to the Ace Mind training system.
But I think the Closers devs actually listened about the technical problems. Like, hey, we can't do these one-shot mechanics when the game fucking drops frames constantly. Like, maybe fix that before you start adding difficult content. Just a hunch.
You can select the training difficulty. Once you've completed your training on normal difficulty, you'll unlock the hard difficulty.
It's funny because the Korean players of Critica they're basically just copying what the global people were saying. It's like, we can't do these raids when the game runs worse than an N64 game and drops stutters constantly. Like, it's not playable. Like, it worked in the general content because the general content was basically just something you could face roll. It didn't really require much skill. But then they start funneling you into endgame content, and the engine just couldn't handle it. I'm like, well, maybe you should fix that, otherwise people will stop playing your game, which is, ironically, exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Like, yeah, there's better games to play out there that actually, utilize your hardware properly and don't run like a fucking slideshow and all relevant content. I don't think it's asking too much to make the game actually function properly. Apparently it was, though, because they didn't do it. It was a problem for years. Let's see, who's a good second for her? yeah, yeah. I know that they've made a lot of changes. I've just been busy with I've been busy with Turtles and Mega Man. I'll probably do Mega Man in this game next stream. Yeah, they've made the game a lot better for sure. They're actually improving this game at a pretty fast pace. These guys, I have full trust in them. But it helps that they had a really good foundation with this game compared to a lot of these other roguelikes, where they're like devoid of content and they're really janky. And it takes them so long to fix that like actual content takes a long time to come out. These guys, they launched with a pretty respectable amount of content, for sure. I mean, they launched with like 9 characters and some decent endgame progression. Not the best, but some stuff to grind for. A while. Why? What's up, groupie? Wanna come up? Come on up. I'm not gonna be here much longer. You wanna hang out with Daddy? You gotta get your ass up here. It's almost time for Daddy to go home. There you go. Good girl. Yeah, I actually have a physical copy of Kamen Rider Bat Ride War 2. I have a legal copy of that game. The load times are really bad. The load times are just horrendously bad. It felt like if I had this job I do now where I take care of my neighbor and her cats, I could legit, like, feed the cats while that fucking game was loading. It's horrendous load times. The problem I'm having right now is that the copy of that game that's on the internet, it's not working in the emulator. So, luckily I have a legal copy. I just don't have a Blu-ray drive. I don't know anybody who does. had to rip my own copy of that game. Because the one that's on the internet, I tried looking for one on the internet, and I couldn't find one that the emulator would take. It takes the premium sound version, but that stuff gets your stuff copyright struck. So I can't use it. I need the one with the generic music to play that game. But I've kind of got that on the back burner right now because somebody's translating that game into English for some reason. I don't know why, but somebody is translating that game into English as we speak. So I kind of don't want to really bother playing that right now. I wish they would do that for Genesis and unlock the frame rate. Lord, that game needs it. Yeah, I bought a legal copy of that game from Amazon back when it came out. I have an actual legal copy of that game. It only cost me like $20. Yeah, I need the regular one. The one that's on the internet is the premium sound one. And as a content creator, it's a real bitch to use that. No, I have it. I just need I need a way to dump my copy. Dump my legal copy. It's probably the easiest way. I don't know. I just don't have like a lot of reason to buy a Blu-ray drive right now. I had that problem with Bayonetta 3 as well. I couldn't play that game in Yuzu because it wouldn't take the dump. The dump that I have of the game, Yuzu wouldn't load it. You could only run it in Ryujinx, which is funny because it's like it's a legal copy, right? It's not somebody else's ripped from the internet illegally. It's my legal copy that I paid for and dumped myself. But yeah, it wasn't until like last month that Yuzu could read that dump, which kind of sucked. It's like, hey, I paid for the damn thing. I didn't pirate it. Paid for the game myself. My own money. Bayonetta 3 actually didn't work well in emulators for like a really long time. It was like one of the games you couldn't play in emulator. I resorted to just overclocking my Switch to play that game. And if you overclocked it, it ran quite a bit better than normal. Yeah, retro game prices are out of control right now. It's like not even worth it. A lot of people like to virtue signal and say that, no, you're buying the game legally. I'm like, dude, you're just lining some other guy's pockets, right? The company doesn't see any of that money. Just go download a ROM at that point. Well past the point of them seeing any money from that game. Except for like the 3 people that will buy it on sale. When it's on like PSN or something. You know, they make money off that. You don't make money off used copies. Yeah, the retro game market is a mess right now, for sure. I definitely agree with you. The stuff is like obscenely expensive. For no reason, mostly because people are stupid enough to actually buy it. I'm like, man, if they don't sell the game anymore, as far as I'm concerned, it's fair game. It's their job to make the game available legally. And if they don't do it, then go get the ROM. Because they don't care about preservation. That's all there is to it, really. A lot of the ROMs I have, like, shit, I would buy those games on a heartbeat. If they were legally available on a modern platform. And they weren't worse than the ROM I already have, because that's the other thing, too. Like the Tales of Symphonia remaster. How it's, like, still worse than... It's still worse than the GameCube version that came out, legit, 20 years ago. I'm not paying for that. The video game industry has not learned from the music industry. Remember how much they hated Napster? They hated Napster so much, and the solution was just like, hey, make this stuff cheaper and more accessible to buy, and people will buy it. And now barely anyone pirates music. The video game industry has not gotten the memo about that, even though the music industry did like 25 years ago. Like, maybe you should catch on to what they're doing. Actually make your legacy stuff available, and then people will stop pirating them. But no, it's always our fault for pirating the games. It's like, it's not fucking available, man. You can't buy it anymore. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, it's gone. If those games weren't dumped on the internet, they'd be gone forever. Lost media. I just think the Symphonia remastered situation is so funny because they can't even make a better version of the game than the one that came out 2 decades ago. It's just sad. And it's like it's not even an excuse that they don't have the source code, because they fucking didn't have the source code for the Kingdom Hearts remasters. They didn't have the source code for that. They ripped it off they recompiled it off a used copy of the game to make those ports. And yes, those ports had problems too. They weren't perfect, but they didn't give up on it, and they're like the best ways to play those games now. And you look at Tales and they just don't even fucking try. Like, come on, man. You want people to stop pirating the GameCube version, then make a fucking better version. Like, that's all there is to it. Make something worth buying and people will buy it. They've learned nothing from iTunes at all. It was the exact same thing that's happening now. Yeah, pay $200 and the people who made the game don't see any of that money. So it's pointless. Unless you're just one of those retro game YouTubers that just have a lot of money to blow on stuff like that that's super frivolous. Because a phone can run those games now, right? We have phones that can run pretty much everything up to the PS2, and even some Switch games now. You can just run those games, so why pay like $300 for a used copy? It's just wasteful. Like, look, if you pay like $400 for a copy of Path of Radiance, people that made that game deserve that money, right? But that's not how the world works. They don't see any of that money. You're just lining some other guy's pockets. The money does not go to the company or the people who made it in any capacity. Hey, nice. Yeah, well, hopefully it's not a garbage port. I kind of don't really have any faith in them after the Symphonia port. I have no faith in them delivering. But I didn't play or grow up with those games, so I couldn't care less personally, but I definitely would not not blindly assume that they'll actually deliver something that's better than the old version. Yeah. Yeah, Panzer Dragoon is like the price of like a down payment on a car. It's like so ridiculously overpriced. Like, dude, who has the money to pay for that, man? You could get a graphics card for that price and just like emulate every game you ever wanted. Like, you could just emulate everything. Go all the way up to the 360 with that kind of money. Or buy the game on Saturn. I wonder which one is the better choice. Let's go get like a 4090 or something, or like a 3070 and an i9, and you could play like every game you ever wanted. You could emulate pretty much everything, like every game just fine. Or pay some schmuck on the internet $1,000 for the game. Some people really just have too much money for their own good. They don't understand what it's like to actually not waste money on stupid stuff. You can get the same thing for cheaper. The thing about Napster was the companies were basically complaining about kids that were my age when Napster was out, which was, I was like, what, like 13, 14, 15 when Napster came out. They were saying that they were losing so much money. I'm like, you know, it's mostly broke millennial teenagers using that thing, right? Like, they don't have any money to give you. And then ironically, when fucking iTunes came out, they were still making money for my generation at the time. Because it actually became affordable. You could legit buy like an album with your allowance. And then the piracy just disappeared. But then the game industry doesn't understand why people pirate old games. It's because you can't fucking buy it anymore. It's the same thing with Steam as well. Steam has mostly killed video game piracy about as much as it can. Mostly because stuff is just so cheap if you wait long enough. And it's like it's harder to pirate something than it is to just legally buy it. But on console, it's a completely different story. They can keep selling you the same games over and over, and they don't bring back the ones that people want. And if they do a garbage job, so people still pirate it. Case in point, Tales of Symphonia. I'm sure the ROM downloads of that game probably went up massively because of that remaster. I would not be surprised. Yeah, I heard their remakes of Panzer Dragoon and House of the Dead were like average at best. But it was like the only thing that they really had the choice to do is because they don't have the source code anymore or something. Like they can't actually bring back like a actual port. They can't do like an actual port for it.
負けるわけにはいきません。
Who remembers when Capcom themselves leaked a de novo free version of DMC5 and it was instantly proven that the game loaded way faster? Instantly. I can vouch for it myself because I think when that game came out, I bought it legally, of course, but I think when that game came out, the de novo free one was what the trainers were made for or something. They leaked it themselves. When you bought the game on launch day, for a period of time, there was an exe file with it that did not have de novo DRM, and it loaded like twice as fast. But people say, "Oh, it doesn't affect anything, guys." No, it definitely does. Trust me. That thing is a fucking tumor on your computer, man. Awful. Apparently Doom Eternal just got de novo removed, and all the hardcore players are saying it runs like way better. Like, yeah, I would imagine so. Don't have to be a Doom expert to realize that. Tell me about Gamefly? What about Gamefly? I can say from experience, Gamefly is actually pretty good if you're a console gamer. Kind of a random question, but if you're a console gamer, yes.
Type generated.
You just kind of have to realize that a lot of the popular games, they don't have that many copies. Generally, when I used it, I'm actually like one of their first users. I used it back in the PS2 days when I was in high school. I paid for it. Generally, what you would do is if there was a game you wanted to play, like say Starfield just came out, right? If you wanted to play that, what you would do is you would send back the game so that you have at least one slot available, and then clear your queue of anything else. So if you have like smaller games, like say this was on Switch or something, this is a good game, right? But you're like really fiending for Starfield, you would remove this from your queue and everything else, and then just put this at the top. And then if you're lucky, you could get the game. But I know that they probably don't stock that many of the bigger games. But yeah, if you buy a copy, it's way cheaper. It's cheaper than the stores for like quite a long time. They also do member sales as well. They give away a lot of their stuff. I bought a decent chunk of Switch games from them a couple years ago. I just buy them because they're in good condition. Yeah, a lot of people meme about Gamefly, but it's actually really good, especially if you have more than one console. If you like have PS5 and Switch, and you can try out a lot of games, and if you like them, you can keep them. But just a word of warning, the more popular stuff is like in much higher demand, and then also, it seems like what they do is if a game is not popular, like, a game like this game will probably be on Switch when it's out of early access. Like they They would have a decent amount of copies of this at launch, but then they would sell them over time. So sometimes if you want a smaller game, you like can't get it because they only have like 3 of them left or something. That's an observation I had. Because, you know, I don't really play a lot of big AAA games. I play mostly smaller to mid-size stuff like this, and even I would have trouble getting stuff off there sometimes. How many consoles do you have? Like, what consoles do you game on? I don't use it right now because I'm not really gaming on console. If I had a current gen console, I would definitely use it in a heartbeat. It's worth the money. It also depends on the shipping centers. I know for a while they had like very limited shipping centers, so sometimes it would take forever for games to come. I would recommend doing the free trial and just like rent a couple games and take note of how long it takes to come. One thing they do right now is when the mail carrier comes to pick it up, they scan it, right? And what they do is when they scan it, GameFly counts it as being returned. Even though it's not going to be mailed back for them for a few days. That's something they started doing a couple years ago. It used to be it had to actually the game had to physically be back in their warehouse for them to send you something else and for the game to count as being returned. But now they just scan it because obviously you're not going to jump on the mail truck and steal the game back, right? You put it in the mailbox, it's going back to them, period. That's one thing that they did to improve the service as well. Yeah, a lot of people meme about it, but the more consoles you have, it's worth it for sure. Especially because on consoles they have that bullshit no refund policy, so if the game doesn't work or you don't like it, you're stuck with it. I recommend it. I don't use it right now. Last time I used it was like 4 years ago or so. But then I started doing like even more PC gaming. Now I'm pretty much just PC and Steam Deck. I like barely use my Switch, so I'm not using it right now, but it is it's a good purchase. But yeah, definitely do the free trial first.
Welcome to the Ace Mind training system.
Do the free trial and see like how quickly you can get the games and stuff. Maybe try renting something that's smaller that you have a higher chance of getting. Don't like jump for like Starfield or Cyberpunk or something. Go for something smaller. See how long it takes to come, and you can use that to gauge if it's worth it or not. So I know there were some places in the country where it would take fucking forever for them to send you games and stuff. So yeah, use the free trial. It's worth it. Yeah, I'm like an old school GameFly user. I don't know if a lot of people know that about me, but I definitely used to run this channel off GameFly for a while. Back from like 2005 to like maybe 2010 or so. I don't know why the hell you would do that. Why would you want to do that? Just pay for the game. Don't steal from them. Come on. GameFly is a good service. Don't steal from them. I feel like I gave you too much information if you're asking me how to steal from them. I don't know how to do that. I don't do that stuff. You have to ask somebody else for that. Well, you're asking me how to steal from them, and I'm not going to tell you how to do that. Try the service, and if you like it, then buy the game. They give you... I don't know what you're implying, but that kind of stuff is not okay here. Come on, man. You're better than that. Gamefly could save you a lot of money, and you're asking about stealing from them. Come on now. Anyway, I gotta go, folks. I might boot up when I get home. I got a new game to play.